$800 a month. That's not a hypothetical. That's the real budget some retirees are surviving on, and not in a spare bedroom or a basement with plastic storage bins. We're talking actual homes. Quiet streets. Places where life still moves at a human pace. You've been trained to believe retirement only works if you've got a 7-figure nest egg, a golf cart, and a spot in an active lifestyle community that charges resort prices for bingo and beige walls. But what if that whole idea is backwards? What if the real loophole isn't saving more, but spending less? What if there are towns so overlooked, so unfashionable, that rent is still under $500, healthcare is heavily supported, and inflation just never showed up? Today, we're uncovering 10 forgotten towns where Social Security still does what it was supposed to do, cover the basics without crushing your soul. Some are buried beneath literal mountains. One is so remote wildlife outnumbers residents. Another froze property taxes decades ago and quietly refused to play along. Think you already know the best places to retire? Stay with me, because this is not a glossy brochure list. These are cheat code towns. The kind nobody advertises because nobody profits from them. Pick wrong and you'll burn money, or your sanity. Pick right and you unlock a version of retirement most people don't even realize exists. And fair warning, there's a town coming up where soaking in a mineral spring costs less than a coffee. Subscribe, because missing this might be the most expensive free mistake you'll ever make. Let's start. Yes, it's really called that. Named after a game show, and somehow that's still not the strangest part of living here on a tiny budget. Locals call it T or C, and it feels like a desert mirage that forgot to fade out. Average rent sits around $650 to $750. Cost of living? About 22% below the national average. Crime stats look scary until you realize half the reports involve loose dogs and tumbleweeds with attitude. Here's the important part. New Mexico doesn't tax Social Security. Add in low-income property tax rebates, and suddenly your check stretches way further than it should. But the real secret? This town sits on a web of natural geothermal hot springs. $10 gets you a mineral soak that does more for your joints than most prescriptions. One local described it perfectly. Living here feels like retiring inside a postcard that got coffee spilled on it. Messy, warm, and weirdly comforting. The upside? Your money actually works. The downside? Summer feels like the planet forgot to turn the oven off. This isn't beach heat. This is question your life choices by noon heat. The wind doesn't cool you, it exfoliates you. Truth or consequences shouldn't work. But retirees here thrive like they found a hidden exploit in the system. And honestly, they kind of did. Welcome to the town that literally lives under a rock. A 200-ton boulder hangs above Pineville, secured with a massive chain. Because apparently long-term planning here includes gravity. Rent runs $500 to $650. Cost of living is 28% below average. Kentucky does not tax Social Security, and seniors get a homestead exemption knocking tens of thousands off property values. Add utility help, food assistance, and generous Medicaid rules, and suddenly fixed income isn't so fixed. Crime is low. Mostly predictable. Sometimes deer-related. And yes, the rock is real. There's even a plaque that says it's chained to protect the town below. Living here means trading Whole Foods for Dollar General. Sushi for catfish. But people know your name, and probably your business. Summer humidity feels like walking into soup. Grass grows out of spite. But mornings? Magical. Fog in the mountains. Coffee on the porch. That massive rock just hanging there. A reminder that even big scary things can be held together with enough stubbornness. Would you live under a boulder for cheap rent and zero Social Security tax? That's the question. Population, barely enough to justify a stoplight. Vibe, frontier town that never asked for updates. Rent averages around $650. Cost of living sits 21% below average. Crime so low the police blotter once listed an escaped goat. Idaho doesn't tax Social Security, and retirees even get grocery tax credits, meaning the state sends money back instead of taking it. What you gain, peace, space, and financial breathing room. What you give up, nightlife, rideshares, and convenience. Snow doesn't fall here. It invades. You shovel daily or surrender your car to the plow gods. But mornings are pristine. Clean air. Crunching snow. Coffee steaming while a moose judges your life choices from the trees. Also, ATVs are street legal here. So yes, retirement might include a four-wheeled identity crisis. Population, about 1,700. Energy, calm, overlooked, and quietly resilient. Rent runs $600 to $750. Cost of living nearly 25% below average. No sales tax. And seniors can defer property taxes legally. Healthcare punches above its weight thanks to a strong rural hospital district. This town is surrounded by actual fossil beds. You can walk through prehistory before lunch. The trade-off? Silence. Real silence. No malls. No Uber. Internet speed from another era. But crime is so low the sheriff closes early on Fridays. John Day isn't built for influencers. It's built for living slowly and cheaply. Old railroad town. Civil War bones. Rent that feels like a typo. Average monthly rent, around $730. Cost of living 27% below average. Maryland offers generous senior property credits, pension exclusions, and no state tax on Social Security. Healthcare access is strong. Crime is manageable. Scenery? Underrated. The town feels frozen somewhere between 1974 and now, but that's part of the appeal. Front porches. Empty streets. Historic downtown with more charm than Wi-Fi. Retiring here feels like winning a very specific lottery. Quiet, cheap, and nobody bothering you. Population, under 9,000. Elevation high enough to brag about the weather. Average rent, $600. Cost of living nearly 30% below average. West Virginia is phasing out Social Security tax entirely. Healthcare access is solid. Crime lower than you'd expect. Bluefield still believes a dollar should matter. And here, it does. Their slogan literally flexes about being cool in summer. And honestly? Respect. Mountain air. Cheap living. Porch time is a lifestyle. Border town. Desert quiet. 3 hours from the nearest Walmart. Median rent, around $580. Cost of living 30% below average. Texas has no state income tax and freezes property taxes for seniors. Presidio isn't convenient. That's the feature. No HOA. No crowds. Just wide skies and silence. Amazon deliveries feel like expeditions. Groceries require planning. But mornings? Sun over desert hills. Coffee. Absolute quiet. If disappearing peacefully had a zip code, this would be it. Deep in the Ozarks. Known for folk music and front porch jam sessions. Rent around $575. Cost of living 27% below average. Social Security not taxed. Senior property exemptions included. Violent crime is rare. Community is constant. Wi-Fi is slow. Food options are simple. But life here is rich in time, sound, and space. You don't stream music here. You walk outside and hear it. Upper Peninsula. Snow country. Bear sightings count as news. Rent about $600. Homes under $90,000. Cost of living 27% below average. Michigan offers strong senior tax credits and exemptions. Cold? Absolutely. Cheap? Undeniably. This is the kind of place where winter is long, but so is your money.